Hi everyone, welcome to another session of our discussion on trial paper. Today we'll look at set 2 trial papers from Selangor State. Let's begin. Which of the following is the method of disposal for biological waste category D? Okay, so for waste that is from category D, there are many types of waste and they are categorized as A, B, C, D. Now for category D, they consist of broth, culture, liquid medium such as blood. So for this type of waste, we need to decontaminate them by autoclaving before we dispose of immediately. Yeah. So for the rest, category A is sharp waste, category B non-sharp waste, category C is animal carcasses, and category D is liquid. So for this question, answer is B because this is category D. So we decontaminate them by autoclaving and then we dispose them immediately. Question 2 shows an organelle in animal cell. Which of the following cell has high density of the organelle? Now this is a mitochondria, and mitochondria is found in great abundance or in high density in skeletal muscle cell because skeletal muscle are involved in contracting and relaxing to produce movement. So they require a lot of ATP energy. Okay, question 3 shows a system in a human body. Okay, this is a skeletal system. Which of the following tissue made up organ P? So organ P is made up of bone tissue. So answer is D. This is bone tissue. This is muscle. This is nerve. This is also muscle. This cardiac. This is cardiac muscle. This is skeletal muscle. Question 4. Diagram 3 shows fresh cucumber being immersed in a solution. So you have sugar solution and vinegar. Which process is undergone by the cucumber cell after 1 week? Now, sugar solution and vinegar, this is a method to carry out preservation. All right, preservation. So normally we use vinegar, we use sugar solution. So the cucumber cell will plasmolyze after 1 week because of the water inside the cucumber cell that diffuses out by osmosis into the solution because the solution outside is hypertonic to the cucumber cell. Okay, question 5. Water molecule have high cohesion characteristic. Which of the process involve the characteristic? Cohesive and adhesive characteristic help water movement along the xylem vessel. So water is able to move along the xylem vessel because of these two processes that help to hold the water in the xylem vessel. Yeah. Question 6. Diagram 4 show food sources that contain certain classes. Okay, so you can see this is chicken, fish, milk, and egg. So which of the following product is formed after the food undergone process of hydrolysis? Now, the end product of protein is amino acids. D, answer. Question 7 shows the chromosome in a parent cell. Which of the following daughter cell is produced after the division is completed? Now, if you look at the diagram, there is some crossing over before this in prophase. This is during metaphase 1. So the daughter cells must have half the number of chromosome of the parent cell. So there are 4 chromosome here, 4. So the daughter cell must have half the number. So half the number, this is strike out. This is not the answer. So it's either A, C, or D. And then the other thing is the separation of the homologous chromosome will result in each of the pole having one of each type of the chromosome from the parent. So it's represented by different length. So this is out. You cannot have two similar homologous chromosome moving to the same direction. So this one is also not possible. So the only answer is A, where each of the pole will contain one of each of the member of the pair of homologous chromosomes. So answer is A. Question A shows the karyotype of an individual that suffer from trisomy 18. Trisomy 18, the individual suffer from Edwards syndrome. So trisomy 18 means it has 3 chromosome number 18 instead of 2. So at which state during meiosis the abnormality occurred that caused Edwards syndrome? Now, Edwards syndrome has 3 number of chromosome number 18, similar to Down syndrome having extra chromosome number 21. So in this case here, the number of chromosome that increase is due to non-disjunction during anaphase 1. During anaphase 1, non-disjunction, yeah, where 2 chromosome, the homologous chromosome did not separate but move together to one pole. Next, fermentation process is used in food production such as yogurt. Which of the following statement is related to yogurt making? Now, in yogurt making, you have the process of lactic acid fermentation. So in lactic acid fermentation, you find that the product of lactic acid fermentation is lactic acid and carbon dioxide. So, but what is related to yogurt making is the production of lactic acid, which will cause the yogurt to be acidic, right? So the answer is A. Okay, next, number 10. Which an athlete wanted to prevent muscle cramp when during vigorous activity. Which of the following steps can be done by him? Okay, so to prevent muscle cramp, he has to do a lot of stretching first to enable the muscle to be warm up and to be stretched so that it will prevent injury and also prevent muscle cramp. So if we immediately do a vigorous exercise without exercise the leg without warming up, then we will tend to have muscle cramp. Okay, question 11 shows an organism with 2 respiratory structure. Which of the following is the advantage of structure X in carrying out gaseous exchange? Now, X is the skin. The skin is also a respiratory structure beside the lungs. So frog uses 2 respiratory structure for gaseous exchange. So the skin is also similar to the lung, is rich with blood capillary. So answer is B. Okay. Which of the following is the difference between chronic bronchitis and asthma? Okay, so chronic bronchitis is usually affect a person when he has an infection. So usually the cilium is affected. The narrow passage will cause, and because there are a lot of mucus produced, they will tend to cough more. Okay, and the mucus produced will block the bronchiole. So therefore, the answer here is 12 is D. Yeah? 13. Which of the following is correct about the role of saliva in the process of digestion in the mouth? Now, in the saliva, there is salivary amylase, So the content found inside salivary amylase is amylase enzyme, or in the saliva there is salivary amylase, and the food will become bolus to help for easy swallowing. So the medium inside the saliva is actually neutral, so 4 is not the answer. And the bacteria is not destroyed by amylase enzyme, is destroyed by HCl when the food reaches the stomach. So answer is C. 14. Which of the following is the effect of the function of liver with cirrhosis? Now, if a person suffers from cirrhosis, it means that the liver is inflamed, and therefore there are certain functions that cannot be carried out by the liver. And one of them is the synthesis of plasma protein. So when a person has liver cirrhosis, it will going to cause the synthesis of plasma protein to decrease. Okay, diagram 8 shows an experiment carried out to determine the concentration of vitamin C in food sample. So juice X, the amount of volume of juice needed to decolorize 1 ml of DCPIP is 3, while ascorbic acid, the standard is 1.0. So in order to calculate the concentration of vitamin C, is to take the concentration of ascorbic acid divide by the volume of ascorbic acid divided by the volume of juice X, 1 divided by 3, so you will get 0.33. Okay. Okay, next. Diagram 9 shows a type of organism. What is the type of circulatory system of the organism? This is an insect. An insect has an open blood circulatory system. Open circulatory system, yeah. It doesn't have blood capillary, yeah. It doesn't have blood circulatory system. Okay, question 17. Which of the following blood cells secrete enzymes that combat inflammation and allergy reaction? Okay, let's look at the 5 types of white blood cell. Now, neutrophil is involved in phagocytosis. Monocytes is also involved in phagocytosis. Eosinophil releases enzyme to fight inflammation and allergic reaction. Basophil is involved in secreting heparin to prevent blood from clotting, and lymphocyte is involved in producing antibody. Okay, so for which of the following cell is involved in secreting enzyme that combat inflammation? So the answer is B. 17 is B. Okay, question 18. Which of the following is correct about tissue fluid and lymph? Tissue fluid is the fluid that is found in the intracellular space. So tissue fluid does not contain a lot of plasma protein because the plasma protein size is too large to diffuse through the blood capillary. So answer A is wrong. Tissue fluid is found in between the cell. So this is also wrong. Tissue fluid is not high in fat content. Lymph is higher in fat content. So this is wrong. Tissue fluid has low content of lymphocyte compared to lymph because lymphatic system has lacteal, which has lymph node that produces antibody. Okay, so therefore, lymph node has a lot of lymphocyte which produce antibody. So the answer is D. Question 19. Mucous membrane is the component of the first line of defense in human body. Which of the following is correct about the role of mucous membrane? So if we look at the what is mucous membrane is the first line of defense that line the digestive, respiratory, urinary, and reproductive tracts. It also produces mucus, and it also contains the enzyme lysozyme, which destroy bacteria. Okay, answer is D. A pregnant woman, mother, is positive for HIV virus. However, the fetus in the womb is safe. Which of the following statement is correct for the situation experienced by the mother? Now, placenta does not prevent the entry of HIV virus. So the fetus can only be safe if the mother is treated first using antiretroviral medicine. This medicine will kill the HIV virus. So answer for 20 is C. 21. Which of the following is the function of medulla oblongata? Now, medulla oblongata, let's look at medulla oblongata. This is where medulla oblongata is located. It's located at the anterior lobe of the cerebellum. It controls involuntary action such as unconscious responses, such as breathing, peristalsis, digestion, heartbeat, respiration rate, blood pressure, and blood vessel activities, such as vasoconstriction. It also serves as the reflex center for reflex action, such as vomiting and coughing. So the answer for the function of medulla oblongata is controlling vasoconstriction, because this is an involuntary action. Question 22. Pituitary gland of an individual failed to secrete oxytocin hormone. Which of the following is the effect of the absence of this hormone? Now, oxytocin is involved in to help the uterine muscle to contract during birth. So if the pituitary gland fails to secrete oxytocin, then the uterine muscle cannot contract during birth. Okay, so answer is C. 23. Diagram 10 shows the regulation of blood sugar level by organ X and Y. So organ X is pancreas, organ Y is the liver. Which of the following is the explanation of the role of organ X and Y in decreasing the blood sugar level to normal range? So after a meal of carbohydrate, the pancreas will secrete more insulin, and the insulin then will stimulate the conversion of glucose into glycogen in the liver cell. So answer is A. Okay, and the cell that secrete insulin is Langerhans beta cell. However, for option C, the option of answer which said glycogen is converted into glucose is wrong. It's the opposite that happened. Okay, so answer for question 23 is A. Okay, let's look at question 24. The following statement is about the event that take place in the kidney tubule during the formation of urine. 100% of glucose and amino acid are reabsorbed, water diffused into the capillary by osmosis. Where does the process occur? Now, if 100% is reabsorbed back, that means the process is happening at the proximal. The proximal is where the process is happening. Okay. Once it goes down to the loop of Henle, all the glucose and amino acid would have been reabsorbed. Okay. So the answer is D, proximal convoluted tubule, which is the tubule that is nearest to Bowman's capsule. Okay, so it's at the beginning of the tubule after the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so this is where proximal convoluted tubule is located. So 100% of glucose and amino acid has been reabsorbed here. Okay, 25. An old woman shows symptoms of stiffness and pain in the joint. Which health issue is experienced by the old woman? Now, if she suffers from pain and stiffness in the joint, so she is experiencing the issue of arthritis. So she's having arthritis where the cartilage has degenerated and the synovial fluid has decreased. So that causes a lot of pain. So the health issue is called arthritis. Question 26. Diagram 11 shows the metamorphosis in insects. So this is grasshopper. Grasshopper show incomplete metamorphosis. Yeah. So which of the following statement is correct for the growth phase of the insect? Now, the insect undergoes several times ecdysis to become an adult. So their growth curve is like a series of staircase where ecdysis will begin. When ecdysis begin here, there will be a sudden growth that causes the length of the insect to increase. So, and ecdysis causes the insect to grow to become an adult because they need to shed off their old exoskeleton and replace with a new exoskeleton in order to grow. Question 27. Diagram 12 shows structure W found in the wall of uterus. Okay, so here, what is the importance of structure W to the fetus in the womb? Now, the structure W is the placenta. Now, placenta is a site of exchange of waste substances where the waste from the fetus is transported from the fetus to the mother blood circulatory system. And it also secretes human chorion gonadotropin hormone. So human gonadotropin hormone, human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is also called as HCG. HCG acts like pituitary gland LH in maintaining the secretion of progesterone estrogen by the corpus luteum and towards the beginning of the formation of placenta. to maintain the uterine lining wall. Okay, so it secretes progesterone and estrogen. So answer is D. Question 28. Japanese rose plant will bloom its flower at 10 o'clock in the morning. What is the type of response shown by the plant? Okay. Now, this is Japanese rose. The response of it shows photonasty, which is the response of a flower petal to light. For example, Japanese roses open when they receive maximum sunlight and closes at night. So the answer is photonasty, A. Now, it is not thigmonasty. Thigmonasty is touch. Nyctinasty is actually the movement of a plant in response to changes in light level and temperature that accompany a 24-hour cycle of day and night. Okay, so that is nyctinasty. And thermonasty is response to temperature. Okay, question 29. Which adaptation is needed by mangrove tree to overcome high salinity? Now, mangrove tree have a problem as they live in a very high salinity soil. In order to overcome this problem, they have leaves that has pores called hydatodes on the lower epidermis where they excrete out excess salt in the form of crystalline, in the form of crystal out of the hydatodes. So hydatodes are special pores found on the lower epidermis and also edges of the leaf that can secrete or excrete out the excess salt. So the answer is D. Okay. Diagram 13 is the national flower of Malaysia. The scientific name is Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Which of the following is correct writing for the scientific name of the flower? So every scientific name has two names. The first is the genus and the second is the species. So the answer is C. So the name hibiscus here refer to the genus and the name Rosa sinensis refer to the species. Question 31. Which organism is classified as prokaryote? The bacteria belongs to the prokaryote. So A is not correct because A is Paramecium, B is Pyrogyra, C is a bacteria. So C is the answer. And D is fungi. So a prokaryote is an organism that lacks a membrane bound component cell. So they don't have nuclear membrane to contain the chromosome. 32. Diagram 14 shows the interaction between biotic component. What is the type of this interaction? So we see the egret, the bird, benefits by following the buffalo around and eating the insects that are flushed out of the grass by grazing buffalo. So the egret or the bird benefited by eating the flies, but the buffalo does not benefit from this interaction. So one benefit, the other organism does not benefit nor is harmed. So the answer is B, is a commensalism. 33, La Nina phenomena is the effect of climate change. Which of the following phenomena cause La Nina? Now, La Nina is caused by greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is caused by the high concentration of CO2 gas, which trap heat, and this causes warming of the Earth atmosphere. So the higher Earth atmosphere causes greenhouse effect that leads to climatic change. And one of the example of phenomena is La Nina, which is heavy rain, heavy downfall of rain. Okay, 34. What is the characteristic of green building? Now, a green building will have devices, or the whole house or the building is built in with the to minimize the degradation of the environment, and also to contribute to environmental sustainability. So one of the way to do this is to collect rainwater to wash toilet or wash floor, so that we will reduce the usage of water from tap water, which is clean water. So we want to save water. So one of the way is to collect rainwater. So answer for 34 is C. 35. Which of the following statement explain the Mendel second law? Okay, so the Mendel second law is also called law of independent assortment, where two or more genes will assort independently. Each pair of allele will segregate independently of any other pair of allele during gamete formation. As a result, the traits of different characteristics are inherited by the offspring independent of one another. Okay, so for example here, during metaphase 1, the pair of homologous chromosome can be arranged either in this way or on the right side here. So there are two possible arrangement of chromosome during metaphase 1, and how they arrange will result in the different types of gamete that will be formed. So that is Mendel's second law. So the answer is D. Each member of the pair of allele will combine randomly during gamete formation. Okay. Question 36. Which of the following is the correct match for the phenotype and genotype of human blood group? So for blood group A, the genotype can be IA, IA, or IA, IO. For B, it can be IB, IB, and IB, IO. For AB, there's only one option because AB are codominant, and for O is IO, IO. So the correct answer is B. Question 37. Diagram 15 shows a type of variation in human earlobe. Which statement explains the variation? So there are two types of ear rope. One is attached and one is free. So the ear lobe shows a discontinuous variation where the differences in the characteristic are distinctive. So you can see them, they are apparent, and there is no intermediate characteristic. Okay, so the gene that control this trait is a single gene. Okay, it's a single gene which determine the differences in the trait of the characteristic. So answer here is C. So the variation is controlled by a single gene. Okay, question 38. Okay, here diagram 16 show the blood sample of two individuals. So you can find that individual, first the individual here is healthy, while R, the blood cell here has crescent shape. So for those who are healthy, they have biconcave dish shape. The red blood cell has biconcave dish shape, while R has a crescent shape. So which individual R is suffering from disease caused by gene mutation? Which of the type of mutation is that causes this disease? So it's base substitution, yeah, where one of the base is substituted, so that result in the wrong amino acid that pairs up to form the protein. So that means a defective protein is synthesized, so which is abnormal hemoglobin. So answer is C. Question 39. Diagram 17 shows a step in genetic engineering technique. So the genetic engineering technique involves the step P and Q. In step P, the gene is cut from the human genome, while in step Q, recombinant plasmid is inserted with human gene. So here you can see that after cutting the gene is inserted into the plasmid during step Q. What is the enzyme used in step P and step Q? Okay, so the enzyme is for cutting the required gene. We use restriction enzyme, and to insert in the gene, DNA ligase enzyme is used. So the answer is D. Question 40. Diagram 18 shows the application of a method of biotechnology. Okay, so the tissue sample is extracted to obtain and then we extract the DNA, and then we go through a series of steps to produce the DNA fragment. Okay, which of the following situation can apply the method? This is DNA profiling. DNA profiling is used in determining the suitability of organ donor. It is also used in identifying or determining the suspect in a crime scene, and also used to determine the child of a pair of parent who dispute their parentage. So they are not used to determine the gender, neither is it to treat cystic fibrosis. So cystic fibrosis, we use gene therapy, and it does not detect rhesus antigen. Okay, so the answer is D. Okay, so with that, I end the session for today. I'll see you in the next session. Bye.